All right, and we're live this time with my screen sharing working
And no blue screens.
and no blue screen. You know what's interesting? This will be a good, very early show discussion. Is someone told me when we ended the show last week and then like popped right back in, they don't see the first 30 seconds because of the ad.
Oh.
So whenever we do the first 30 seconds of our show, it actually gets cut off because the way that Twitch integrates ads is they just put it over top of the content, whereas YouTube has a different approach that I'm used to. So I thought that was interesting.
So that means no one will see this until it's uploaded in the archive.
Yeah.
It's cool.
They'll never know it was there. We could do anything. I mean, except that the other thousands of people will see it. So, yeah, there's that. Someone says no sound. Yes, there is. Yes, there is. I'm monitoring.
Well, yeah. Okay.
No, there is sound.
Because I was going to say, remember in the recording we did, there was no sound. That was the whole problem.
True. There wasn't. But the levels are all going, and the monitoring is working. So, way to troll us. We love you guys so much. So very much. All right. So let's kick off the show with... Oh, right. No. Yes, wait, what are our topics? Right, Razer has the new Blade 14, which is an all-new version of the original Blade 14 that takes everything that I thought was shite about the original one and improves it to the point where, and this, you know what, Min, their CEO, backed me into a corner on this one because at CES, he made me promise that if they fixed everything I complained about the original Blade 14, that I would go on camera with a revised model and say that it's the perfect notebook. And I was like, if you guys can fix everything I complained about, then I will. And they did. So that's gonna be awkward. What else we got this week?
Awkward, actually.
P-Cell is a new wireless standard that looks to replace those monolithic cell phone towers with something that's smaller, easier to install, but would require many more of them, but could potentially give us much better speeds.
Then we have Google is now going to be encrypting your searches, and more on that. And then the fact that a thing called popcorn time existed for a very short period of time, and everything entailing that.
All right, so let's get this rolling. And our sponsors today, Squarespace, the easy way to have a beautiful website for yourself or for someone else, as well as Hotspot Shield, so you can get 20% off your Elite subscription. Slick threw me off there. He's like touching things on my screen. No, it's okay, it's muted.
Oh yeah, because people were saying audio is echoing, so I thought that might have been it. So I tried to pause it, but then I saw that it was...
No, I think they're trolling us. Hotspot Shield, you can get 20% off Elite pricing with offer code Linus, and that is the fast, easy way to get a VPN set up. It's also quite inexpensive, especially when you get that 20% off using our offer code. And yes, it's the old intro. Why is the WAN show early? That is an excellent question, and let me go ahead and direct your attention to... Daylight savings time is stupid. So if you Google daylight savings time is stupid, and it'll come up with thoughts from a gamer, it's stupid. Why it should be abolished. How it's stupid. 14 reasons that it needs to end forever. Daylight savings time is a thing in some parts of North America, not even all of them, which I was baffled to discover when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Like
I actually recently discovered that. I thought daylight savings time was literally a worldwide thing.
No.
And then, like, fairly recently, I was like, what?
It's some parts of North America, even within Canada, there are provinces that do not use daylight savings time.
So confusing.
So every 6 months, the clocks jump forward an hour or back an hour in order to, in the spring, give us more usable daylight during the day, which is a factor when everyone's working outside in the fields, and less of an issue in the modern age. So that is why the show is a little bit early.
Or you could just shift your, like, sleep cycle.
Yeah, you could do that.
Yeah.
So companies could have their own thing, but there's no real reason for us to just be not in sync
but,
with the rest of the world every 6 months.
Yeah, because if you're a farmer in the field, you need more working daylight.
Well, that's why farmers get up early.
Exactly.
You don't need to change the time for that.
Doesn't the rooster crow at a certain time, depending on the sun, no matter what time the clock says?
That's my understanding. Although, if there are any farmers watching, we would love to hear your thoughts on rooster crowing.
If they all have a watch on, and then that's how they crow? I don't know.
All right, so our Better Than Bieber segment today is significantly better than Bieber because anything in outer space is automatically better than Bieber. It is the 80th birthday of Yuri Gagarin. I'm not 100% sure how to pronounce his last name, and I'm very sorry about that. I know Neil Armstrong, because he's like, because we're so Americanized up here, the only thing we know is like American heroes and celebrities. But it is his 80th birthday, and he was the first man in space. So congratulations, Yuri. Congratulations, human race. What a big deal that was. So that was March 9th. That was 5 days ago. So he went into space for a 108-minute flight on April 12th, 1961. He was born into a poor family March 9th, 1934. In 1955, he was called up for military service and sent to study aviation in Orenburg. And then on December 9th, 1959, he applied to join a squad for cosmonaut candidates. How cool would that be?
Actually, really cool.
First man in space.
I always wanted to be an astronaut, and then I was like, wow, I'm really not intelligent enough for this.
After his flight, he was never allowed to fly into space again, something he dreamt of, and he was actually killed in a MiG-15 UTI crash near the town of Kurzak. Sorry, I don't know how to pronounce that either. You weren't even going to
I saw that coming, and I was like, oh no.
So that was on a routine training flight, but he would have been 80. That's how... Oh, isn't that cool?
That's actually really cool. I like all the space news. That's part of the reason why it always gets in the Better Than Bieber segment, because space news is just interesting. People have heard my rant.
And it's better than Bieber in general.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, so is anything. So is this t-shirt.
So is this t-shirt.
Oh, I forgot to wear my Linus Tech Tips t-shirt today.
You wore it yesterday.
I have my Holy Balls one.
Yeah.
Oh, bummer. All right, so let's move into our first real news item of the week. The original poster for this is DLM012 on LinusTechTips.com and Amazon Prime. It's official. The cost is going up. The good news is that if you already have a subscription, you can lock in for 1 more year at your old rates, which I actually think is pretty generous.
That's not too bad. I honestly, when I first read this, not this one, but when we first reported on it a few weeks back, I thought they were just going like, yep, as of this month, it is now this much more. Because that's how, like, everyone else on the planet does their rate increases.
Yeah, but no, I think they took a very consumer-friendly approach to it. So here we've got someone posting their letter. This is DLM012's post. So, hey, just to let you know, it's going to be increasing. So as of July 31st, 2015, I mean, the guy's got, like 15 months to enjoy it at the old rate. Your membership will renew at $49 a year. And so that's the student rate. So the student rate went from $39 to $49, and then the grown-ups rate went from... I'm not saying students aren't grown up. I'm just saying, like...
There could be students that are older than you. Actually, there is students.
Yeah, 100%. Students of life. Or students at school. Did you know that in BC... Actually, I don't know. Did you know this? Post-secondary education is free for seniors.
What? No?
Yeah. You can just go take classes at university, at like UBC.
What?
Yeah.
Is that like a government-sponsored thing, or is that done by the schools?
I have no idea.
That's so random.
Yeah, so my mom's talking about like her retirement plan, and she's like, yeah, well, I went to school, and then I went to high school, and then I went to university, and then I started teaching in a school, and then I'm going to retire and go back to school. And I'm just like, Mama, I love you, but...
I would go for certain classes. If they were free and I was retired, I'd definitely go for certain classes.
So there you go. Very few people take advantage of it. So anyway, so for other people, it goes from $79 a year to $99 a year. And I don't know. I mean, given that the rumor was it could go up anywhere from up to like $40, $100 a year, I don't know. What do you think?
I'm still not going to get Prime because Amazon.ca is terrible.
Okay, if you were in the U.S., would you pay $100 a year for Prime?
Probably.
When you consider that you get instant video... When you consider that you get free shipping, when you consider there's
it's free shipping,
right? And the Kindle lending library, and then
I would get it for free shipping.
There's something else that they have coming, right?
I don't know. I don't pay as much attention as I probably should because I'm not American, so it does not.
Well, it's in the docs, so I was giving you an opportunity to talk because apparently there were complaints you didn't talk enough last week. But since you're not going to take the bait, there's a rumor that Amazon will be launching some kind of a music service.
They already have that.
And that would
MP3. What? If you buy MP3s, you can stream it through their website.
No, but this would be a streaming service. So like some kind of like all you can eat style streaming service.
Okay,
so there's a rumor that they're going to have a streaming service, and then that might be bundled with Prime as well. Nobody really knows what's going on.
You know why I knew they had at least what they had so far for that? I was trying to buy, because I was like, I should buy my music. Because I'm getting frustrated on trying to listen to YouTube albums of people's music because ads will play while I'm trying to run.
And sometimes it's like a half-hour ad.
Yeah. So I'm just like, okay, I don't really want to like stop and skip the ad. So I was like, okay, I will buy my music. I'll be a good citizen and I will buy my music. Not possible to buy digital version of what I wanted to buy because I wanted to buy Arctic Monkeys album AM. And I was like, okay, so I go on Amazon.com, try to buy it. Oh, you're a Canadian citizen, can't buy. So I'm like, oh, okay, I'll just get it from Amazon.ca for what I'm guessing is like $2 more or something. Go there, no MP3 version. MP3 downloaded, not supported in Canada. It's like, what? Now I have to go buy a music CD from brick and mortar? Like, when was the last time I've done that? I don't even know where to go. Like, I don't know if Best Buy even has a music section.
Do you remember A&B Sound?
Yeah, they don't exist anymore.
Like, that was probably the last place I actually bought a CD.
And they don't exist. They're gone.
I know.
Like, what do I do?
It's because their entire business model was selling CDs, and it's dead!
Oh, my goodness.
Did you try iTunes?
I don't want to do iTunes.
I know you
I
don't
want iTunes on my computer.
It's a big piece of garbage, but it works.
I know.
I've bought songs through iTunes. I had to. I was looking for some stupid obscure thing, like it's some Christian band or something, and I needed this song because I thought it was awesome. And I was like, okay, where can I get this? It's like, nope. iTunes.
Nope.
That's it. So, speaking of the difficulties that exist with legitimately obtaining legitimate content, let's move into what I think is going to be one of our biggest topics this week, and that is popcorn time. So this is a service that launched. It launched this week, right?
This was fast.
This was really fast. So it launched like days ago, and the idea was, I think, for it to be used for legitimate things, but let's be honest with ourselves, that was not.
Even if they didn't have the intent for it to be used for piracy, the internet had the intent for it to be used for piracy immediately.
So the idea was that it was kind of like a Netflix for pirates, and it was going to allow the BitTorrent protocol, so that's peer-to-peer sharing, to let people stream movies and TV shows and videos. So it had, you can see what the interface was, because it already doesn't exist anymore, but you can see what the interface was. You could browse by category with thumbnails, and the idea was that unlike traditional BitTorrent clients, which allowed the user, oh yeah, this article was submitted by Top War Gamer on the forum, thank you. The idea was that unlike traditional BitTorrent clients where you can specify a seed ratio or a maximum seeding speed, the way that this worked was that once you committed you were going to watch that movie, it would store it on your computer, and you would automatically seed it until you actually rebooted, at which time all the associated files would be wiped from your computer. So as long as something was reasonably popular and up to date and people were watching it, it would be available on the service, and it would be streamed quickly and reliably, and actually, because it wouldn't rely on Netflix's constant struggle with the internet service providers to allow their service to be closer to their users. Because it's peer-to-peer, you could actually be streaming it from your next door neighbor if they happen to be watching that movie, someone down the street.
They don't even have to be watching. They have to have watched and not have restarted their computer yet.
That's right, which would be quite common. Yep. But the idea is that you could be very close to where the content is being streamed from. As a content delivery platform, it's absolutely brilliant. But if you go over to getpopcorntie.me, so we're going to go ahead and have a look at that website. This was never meant to be. It says, goodbye. You know, we started this to challenge ourselves. They thank the community for translating it into 32 languages, some of which they had never even heard of. I just realized that, oh no, never mind, that's up. I thought maybe it wasn't. So they thanked the community for helping them translate it. They basically said, look, we checked like 4 times that what we're doing is legal, in much the same way that the BitTorrent platform and BitTorrent clients are legal because they're not specifically hosting any pirated content. But they basically went, look, there's an industry here that is established, and they don't like what we're coming in and doing, and whether what we're doing is legal or not, we are going to have to defend ourselves, and we're going to be bearing a burden that no one should have to bear monetarily. And so, I mean, even the stress. I mean, people have ended up in jail over, rulings that come from judges that don't necessarily even understand the issues involved.
Yep.
And that's a big problem. Do you want to be that guy, or do you get your cease and desists from absolutely everybody? I mean, these guys were getting covered by everyone.
It was a huge
TechCrunch,
deal.
Time Magazine, Ars Technica, Washington Post, Huffington Post, Yahoo Finance, Gizmodo. Everyone was covering these guys.
Us.
We are covering these guys. I mean, as soon as this popped up on the forum, I was like, wow, that's amazing. We have to talk about it. And I meant to try it, but it's gone now. But they basically went, look, we created this not because we were trying to do something illegal or pirate content, but because we really feel like the distribution platform for content is fundamentally broken. And one of the most interesting things in their letter, I'm going to try and find it right now, was here, right here, where they say, you know what is the best thing about Popcorn Time? I'm going to blow this up so you guys can read along with us if you want. And that tons of people agreed that the movie industry has way too many ridiculous restrictions on way too many markets. And this is word for word. Take Argentina, for example, and this blew me away. Streaming providers seem to believe that There's Something About Mary is a recent movie. That movie would be old enough to vote there. And it's like, that's awesome. The bulk of their users were not in the US. It's everywhere else. Popcorn Time got installed in every single country on Earth, including 2 that don't have any official internet access. That blows me away, because what they were doing, even if it did enable piracy, which, come on guys, we can't have this stupid argument anymore. It's wrong to steal things, and you can argue the semantics of the word steal all day, but it is wrong to not pay people for their work that they did. And you can argue about whether the publisher deserved the money, or the actor deserved the money, or whoever deserved the money. Somebody gotta get paid for the work that they do. You don't work for free, neither should they have to. And if you do work for free, then you're doing it by choice. And if someone else didn't choose to work for free, you have to respect that. That's their right.
I tried to buy the Arctic Monkeys album. I'm still going to have to try to figure out how to buy the Arctic Monkeys album without paying more than the cost of the album and shipping. Sorry, that's an option I found.
Oh, and guys, Twitter Blitz time. I'd love for you guys to just kind of weigh in with your thoughts on this. But anyway, so even if they weren't setting out to create a piracy platform, what they were doing was amazing.
Yeah.
Because it was going to level the field. That's the point of the internet, is that we should all have access to this stuff. And you know what? Screw geographical restrictions. Aside from a PAL or NTSC format, why are we country locked? Why can we only use this phone in that country or play this game in that country? It's absurd. And the fact that we have the technology now to enable us to not deal with that crap anymore is frustrating. Any thoughts?
No,
Sorry, I kind of talked.
You actually covered it really well, though. We had a debate before the show which you did not carry. Which you did not carry into the show.
Oh, what was our debate again?
You were saying that they were obviously creating a pirating platform.
They were.
But they
I said,
with all good intentions.
During my thing, I said even if they weren't. I mean, do you have any idea how many millions of dollars a site like Pirate Bay brings in a year?
Yeah.
You monetize a piracy platform and manage to keep it up. There's a reason that I don't remember how much it was, but the ISO Hunt guy
Especially when you go the direction that Pirate Bay has gone with their ads, which they're just like, yeah, we're not going to filter any of it.
Yeah.
Just put whatever.
It's like, here's like boobies on our site. Yeah. Or something like that.
It's like, I feel real awkward ever going there to be like, yeah, this is what the Pirate Bay is, and like blah 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 blah, and showing anyone and explaining the whole system to anyone, because I'm like, yeah, there's tits all over the place.
Yeah,
because is weird.
This is sort of the underbelly.
Here's another reason why you shouldn't use it, Mom.
I think the ISO Hunt guy paid 110 million or something like that. Yeah, 110 million. So, okay, think about this. They had to think that he had 110 million. Like and ISO Hunt I think was number 4. not even one of the top guns. Like, Pirate Bay is bringing in some serious money. So if it wasn't in the back of their minds somewhere that they wanted to drive massive adoption, and we've had this conversation, piracy drives a platform.
Yeah.
I personally believe that piracy is a big part of the reason that Android is so strong.
I was going to say Windows.
And Windows for that matter as well. Piracy drives platform adoption, and so if it didn't occur to them that someone was going to pirate content.
That's true, but you can tell that they didn't, even though it occurred to them that it might have driven piracy, you can tell that they didn't expect it to at least get as big as it did, because they shut down so fast. There's no way they couldn't have pushed off lawyers for a little while.
But we don't know what's going on behind the scenes over there.
That's true.
For all I know, they could be selling the tech to the Pirate Bay.
Wow.
So
that would be so smart. Because then they could back off and not have to touch lawyers and just sell it for so much money. Or the Pirate Bay, being who they are, could just build it themselves.
Or whatever.
Just be like, lol.
Like, and that could have even been the point. It could have been a group that was like, we're going to make this just to prove that it can be done, and then we're just going to, like, run away.
Can do it and deal with it.
And then we're just going to, like, dump the source code on some, like, backdoor of the internet somewhere.
That's stage 2, when we see, like, Forbes and Yahoo Finance, source code for Popcorn Time leaked.
So, there's a lot of places this can go, but Popcorn Time obviously doesn't intend to keep... I mean, if that's a legitimate video platform, I would have loved to see something like this. Yeah. I mean, I love YouTube and I love Twitch, but they will always have the cost and logistical difficulties associated with centralized hosting.
Well, people have been talking about the torrent version of Twitch for a little while now.
Oh.
Of, like, torrent streaming... Torrent streaming in general. It's not a thing yet, but people have been talking for quite a while about how that would be a lot easier, because then you wouldn't necessarily even need certain backbones in place.
Tell me this, though. What would you rather do? Would you rather pay a monthly subscription for the privilege of using twitch.tv, which I'm not saying they're doing, I'm just saying, which would you rather do? Or would you rather use a service like Popcorn Time that mandates that you have to use your uplink to upload video? But hold on. That mandates that you have to utilize your bandwidth to support the rest of the platform, and potentially puts you in a position where you're just paying for a more expensive monthly internet connection anyway.
I don't know. Maybe Twitch. I'm not sure. But the reason why the torrenting streaming thing actually came out was the Venezuela riots. Remember, I actually did talk about this very shortly on the show, because people were talking, if you could get one slow pipe out,
right,
and just stream it to one person and just barely stream it, and then that person can share it to 2 or 3, and then it can escalate.
Right.
That's how you can stream information like that out. So maybe it's not as widely used.
Right.
As something like Twitch, where they control the whole platform and they monetize it like crazy and all this kind of stuff goes on. But having it available would be really cool as well. And another thing that ties into your increased bandwidth side of that 2-option thing is the Time Warner bandwidth thing that's coming out.
Yes. That was interesting. So, okay, you know what? Remember that we're doing that topic next, because I think that's that ties in really well. But let's go to the Twitter boards here.
Oh my God.
Let's hear what you guys have to say. What's up? What? Oh, the source code is already available. Uploaded 4 hours ago.
Which is right when they closed, isn't it?
Oh, man. That's classic.
They closed a couple hours ago.
That's interesting.
It's like, close leak. Bye.
All right, so let's go to Twitter. Acid Alamo. You know what, man? You can't be more wrong. I think piracy helps artists get their music heard. It's not all bad. If the artist believed in free music, and you look, and some of them do. Weird Al Yankovic very famously released for free on a dedicated website for it a song called "Don't Download This Song," that basically just makes fun of the MPAA and the RIAA. It's just like, and makes fun and like just parodies the idea that grandmothers are getting sued for pirating music. And some artists believe in that, but the issue is that you don't get to make that call.
And people like Logan can do it Logan from Tech Syndicate can do it in even a different way. He doesn't have them available for free, but publicly says, buy it, give it to everybody.
Yeah. And that's fine too, but that's his right.
Yeah.
If you create the content, it is your right to decide how people use it.
And you can think people are stupid for doing whatever they are doing as much as you want, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you're right.
What's the point of the O-rings in the G710 Plus? Good question. It softens the presses when you bottom out the keys, in theory, and makes it a little bit quieter, in theory. As for the ISO Hunt guy, yeah, he was from Vancouver, my hometown. It's not stealing if you don't get caught.
It's still stealing.
It's still stealing.
You're not a
You can argue semantics all day. I'm not going to do that on this show because it's stupid. Best example is Game of Thrones, the most pirated series. There is no legit way to watch in Europe. And that is a fantastic example of a completely missed opportunity because the content providers, the local governments, whoever it is, can't figure out how to just freaking work together and cash in all that money because people are willing to pay.
I could be totally wrong, but don't they film part of it in Europe?
I think so.
And it's not available in Europe? Are they high?
Well, it's kind of like...
I'm not sure if
I forget what it is. It's not oranges, but there's some fruit that's grown in California predominantly, but it's actually more expensive there than it is here.
It's not oranges, you said?
It's not oranges, I don't think. Okay. It saddens me to see stuff like this get shut down because what they're doing is wrong, but not because what they're doing is wrong, but because they got too big doing it. But that's a lot of the time what happens. You know, when what you're doing is with the best intentions. Like, I mean, you know what? A great example is when we do worldwide giveaways. You know what? The way we do it isn't really legitimate. And if we turn into, NBC. Linus Media Group turns into the next like multinational media conglomerate, we won't be able to do worldwide giveaways anymore because you're under more scrutiny.
I was gonna say you might want to explain how it's not.
Like it's not. You can't.
There's local laws and giveaway laws in many different places which really screw with giveaways. We're able to fly under the radar because we're not big enough, but we're not. What we're screwing with is a lot of places you're not allowed gifting people things.
Yeah.
Or you have to pay 100% of the cost of the item on top of the actual item, on top of import fees, on top of taxes to be able to give someone something.
We might as well just send you the cash.
Like it would be, at that point in time, it would be literally half the cost to just send you money.
Yeah.
So, there's lots of problems.
Geo restrictions, money. No, sometimes geo restrictions just result in no money for anyone. That's the problem. That page is awesome. You were right, Linus. They have to change region locks. Yep. My first time. I love it. I have no idea what you're talking about, Teddy. Feels like the first time. It's really hard to sing with your voice in your ear, slightly delayed. Just embrace iTunes, man.
No, I don't want to. I might build my secondary computer that I let people use when they come over to LAN.
Yeah.
I might just put iTunes on that. Screw you guys.
We are not doing the bronze gay Ben statue. I'm sure that would creep him out way too much.
Yeah.
If big movie companies don't want to be stolen from, they can't charge what they charge and expect to be profitable. Yeah, but this is another thing that isn't really the right of the consumer to decide. You don't get to decide a car's... I know this is the analogy they use, but they're right. You don't get to decide that car's too expensive, I'll just steal one. If it's too expensive, and I've said this so many times, don't buy it. But you also don't get to watch it or listen to it. That's just how it works. And if enough people don't buy it, they will lower prices. But people refuse to just boycott things. You know what? You don't like...
As a whole, we just can't seem to do that.
No, we just can't do it.
Like, we've tried so many times. People are just like, nah, because I won't make that big of a dent. But then hundreds of thousands of people are like, nah, my dent's not that big. Whereas, I feel like that's the same as ad block.
If I don't like Say for example, an artist. Who's that one that was caught with the child porn?
I don't know.
I can't remember off
artist?
the top of my
head. I thought
it
was the guy making the... Oh, yeah.
Apparently he was acquitted. So allegedly child porn, R. Kelly. Whatever. He can be acquitted all he wants. I won't listen to any of his songs. Comes on the radio, won't listen to it. Pay or not pay. If you don't like something, don't use it. And then it will go away. If people don't like that, who's that?
It won't go away because no one else is going to do what you do.
Who's that other stupid guy? The South Park fish sticks one.
Kanye.
Yeah, if you don't like Kanye selling a plain white T-shirt for however much he charged for it, do you remember that thing?
Wasn't it like $500 or something?
I don't remember.
I could be totally wrong.
I don't remember.
I remember
what
it sucked.
$120 plain white T-shirt that had nothing special about it. If you don't like it, don't buy it, and it'll go away. But people cannot handle that. All right, so back to this.
So $500 was a lot higher than it actually was.
YouTube/mp3.org. Okay.
That's
no idea what that is.
Not allowed, I believe.
Haven't actually used it. About your new segment, better than he who must not be named, never show his face or mention his name again. Did that end up in the news? In our news this week? In our doc?
I don't want to talk about that.
It's awesome.
But that is about him.
Well, come on.
That's completely against the segment.
Oh no, not as the segment. Can we just talk about it very briefly?
That's completely against the whole ideal moral of the show and the point of having that segment in the show. We can't talk about news that has to do with him on the show when we have a segment that's about how much people talk about news that have to do with him. But that's why everyone's talking about him all the time.
All right, fine.
We need to stop.
I'm from the U.S., so every time I hear about content restrictions, my jaw drops. Yep. Yeah, I mean, even here in Canada, we're relatively sheltered. I refuse to use iTunes, and Google Music isn't available in the UK. But then you can't just refuse to use gas stations and then expect to still be able to drive. Like, if the... maybe I don't even want to hear from you people about this. Let's go ahead and move on to our next topic. What was it again?
There's the Time Warner bandwidth cap voluntary thing that no one did because it's dumb.
Yeah, that was ridiculous. So we were talking about would you rather pay for higher bandwidth caps or would you rather pay for
where is it?
Like to use services? Because someone has to pay at some point for something. So you're either going to be contributing to a peer-to-peer network, or you're going to say, okay, no, centralized servers are better for me, but I have to pay for this somehow, whether it's through watching ads or whether it's through just paying for it outright. So here, I'll let you cover this one.
So they decided that you can save about $60 a year,
which is like really not that much, Time Warner.
$5 a month, and have bandwidth caps of 30 gigabytes. To which less than 1% in the thousands of their 11 million customers decided to actually opt in for because it's a very terrible thing and you're dumb. I don't even know what else to say. He said the CEO, Rob Marcus, said practically no subscribers took the ISP up on its offer for cheaper service, $5 a month, shut up.
Give us a half-price service with a very limited bandwidth. Yeah. Now maybe we're talking.
Yeah, exactly. $5 a month. You're not winning battles there, man. For service with a data cap. A data cap, it's 30 gigs for a home internet connection. What? I just downloaded Titanfall. That would have crushed the whole cap. What the heck? I don't know. This is something that I brought up before, though, actually, when we were talking about Call of Duty Ghosts. When people were talking about how it was 50 gigs, right?
Yeah.
And I was saying physical media might come back for games specifically because if you're downloading these 50 gigabyte games, it took me all freaking night. I started downloading Titanfall after work, couldn't play it that night, had to play it the next day because still at 2 a.m. it wasn't done.
Right.
And I have a pretty good internet connection. It was not my side. It took way too long. If I just decided to go to the store and drive back, I could have had the game in 15 minutes, 20 minutes.
So I've got a straw poll for you guys. I'm going to go ahead and post that in the chat right now. Would you agree to a 30 gig per month cap for half of your current rate that you're paying? And I think I already know the answer, but whatever. Wow.
No. Thank you. I wouldn't either. 2 people
Two
were
people.
like, yeah.
You guys rock on. You rock on, all 2 of you. All right, so we'll go ahead and leave that for a little bit. But
Crushed.
so you know what? This actually looks in line with the number of people who actually did it, according to Time Warner Cable. Couple percent.
They said less than 1%.
Did they say less than 1%? Yeah, but people
Yeah.
are probably trolling as well. So
Yeah, well, considering it sat at 2 for a really long time, and then we called it out, and then everyone was like, yes, 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 yes.
yeah. So it's one of those things where, yeah, I think we can just all agree on this one, except you 16 people, and I'm sorry, but you're
Especially
probably
if they're watching this show.
Yeah, if you're watching this show,
your like whole bandwidth is gonna get taken up from watching WAN show for a month.
maybe they are so hardcore that this
That's
is the
all they're
only
gonna do.
the only thing they do on the internet is watch this show.
They get to watch 1 2-hour segment 4 times a month.
Of this show.
And that's it.
And we love you guys. You're awesome.
Thank you, you like 20 people or whatever it is. That's great. Oh, man.
Okay,
the
so
best part is it's still slow.
What
So
is?
you're paying half the price, but it's still a lot of money because half the price is still not that cheap. It's
Right.
still really slow internet, and you have this crappy data cap. Or you can be San Antonio, and possibly be getting Google Fiber.
Yeah. Okay. Let's move on to that. Like, actually, both of these topics, the upcoming ones, are about how infrastructure it just like needs to get better and may just be getting better. Hold on. Where is it?
You can use the headers, but it's right there.
I'll use your headers. All right, so let's go ahead and pop over to this. So this is from mysanantonio.com. San Antonio City Council okays Google Fiber contract. San Antonio, you guys are awesome. The people who live there are awesome. And Google is awesome.
My favorite thing about reading this article, everyone that's watching right now, I highly suggest checking out this article. Maybe
I'll post it.
Okay. Read through it and read the quotes from the guy that's on City Council who's pushing for it mainly. He is the biggest, and this is awesome. I'm not saying this in a negative way. Usually when I say this word, it's negative. But he is the biggest fanboy ever. And it's hilarious. The whole time he's just like, yeah, it's, well, he's saying like, when it's here, when it's here, when it's here. And then he goes in like, a big important part of my job is managing expectations. We don't know when it's coming or if it's coming, blah, 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 blah. All of his other quotes. When it's here, when it's here. It's like, yes. And then right at the end, he says, I don't actually see where it is right now. When we get this, remember what I just said. When we get this, and I believe we will, I would like to request a San Antonio themed Google homepage. That would be really nice. Awesome. Like, that's so cool.
Oh, wow.
I want this guy on my city council.
Me too. Me too. That's fantastic.
So good.
So what else is there about it? I mean, there are some challenges. Right now, the company or the city-owned CPS Energy owns 86% of the telephone poles, but
AT&T owns the other 14%.
dun dun dun.
Oh no! Although I do bet you those are in fairly confined areas, and while 14% is still very large when you're talking about this kind of stuff, it's probably able to be bypassed and probably won't be the biggest deal. It's still going to be a hurdle that they're going to have to jump over.
Yeah. What else? What else they got?
Something interesting that I noticed was that they haven't pinned down the locations yet, but they're planning to install them in libraries.
We haven't said what they are.
Oh, for fiber huts. So they're planning on installing 40 fiber huts, which are 12 by 26 foot communication
I would
shelters.
live in a fiber hut. Even if it was just a hut, I would just live there.
Like 40 gigabit in, up and down. You just want anything? Click. Yes. It's so good.
Sorry, go ahead.
So yeah, 12 by 26 foot communications shelters, which are just going to house all of the fiber communications infrastructure that they need. They're going to install these in most likely, they don't have pinned locations yet, but most likely libraries, fire and police stations, and other city properties across San Antonio, which I immediately thought about. This seems like the setup and like wind up part of the next Batman movie. Google.
Okay,
Google,
I'm gonna have to let you explain
Google, this
that.
big corporation, installs these fiber huts in big city buildings, and then they collect all the data because have you read
And
about
Eric Schmidt is the Joker?
or something like that, and then Batman has to come in and like shut down all these individual huts that are protected by
I
guards.
hope Warner Brothers isn't
because
watching.
because they're stealing
Because they might actually do this.
because they're stealing data from like police, fire, libraries, and other city properties. So if they install it at like City Hall, all the police stations and all the fire stations, they could know all the foot traffic of all the different things. Oh yeah, totally seems like next Batman movie. Fantastic. There's just immediately thought of that. And what made me mainly think of that is if you've read the thing on John McAfee, his recent thing about how he was spying on police in Belize or something like that. I was like, because he donated computers. It's like, this is like Google Fiber, except for instead of donating computers, they're just installing little structures inside those
And instead of spying on police, they're spying on everyone.
Yes. But specifically, mainly
This
government
doesn't even
infrastructure.
necessarily have to be Batman. This could be almost anything. This could
Pretty
be
much
like,
whatever.
yeah, you could call the movie like The Biggest Brother.
Die Hard.
And it wouldn't be about a large black man. It would be about your idea. I mean, it could be about both.
The large black man is the one that takes down all the Google
Now,
Fiber
to be
huts.
clear, I know some people don't like black or white or whatever, but I'm just kind of going, treat others as you want to be treated. I'm totally okay if people call me white. I know their skin's not black and my skin isn't white, but it's very convenient. That's all I have to say about that.
What was I going to say?
And I apologize in advance to anyone that I may have offended. Because I probably did offend someone.
Disclaimer.
You know, I think the last like 6 WAN shows in a row, I've had someone message me after the show and tell me how upset they are because of something I said. I'm sorry, it's a live show, and sometimes I talk without thinking. Anyway, was there anything else to say about this?
There was, but I don't even remember. Right, so despite the excitement of the city council member, which is fantastic, you have to read through the article, he said it's still going to be a really long time coming. They still have legal loopholes to jump through, like the AT&T owning a whole bunch of the polls thing and other legal loopholes that they have to go through. It's been approved. They still have to go through a huge process. They won't even be done doing Google's required pay work for at least 2 weeks, and then they have to get through testing and figuring out where all these fiber huts actually even should go. Then they have to build them all. Then they have to run lines to everyone's houses and like blah 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 blah.
So it's
still
gonna take
gonna
a
be
while.
a really long time.
But it's going to be like full scale Google Fiber, not in like the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
So freaking awesome.
Well, I kind of want it in the middle of nowhere. I want it here.
Yeah, I want it here too. Okay, so this article's from Business Insider. This is supposedly the technology that is going to make your phone's internet 1,000 times faster than 4G. Now, to be clear, guys, 1,000 times faster than 4G is probably more like network capacity, because we're a long way away from flash chips that are capable of leveraging that kind of throughput.
That's what I thought when I first read that. I was like, oh, this isn't real at all.
This is kind of like when we talk about, 100 gigabit, internet, because we're so far away from that even mattering. We're going to need like light-based storage in our computers for that to even be a thing. But, okay, so what's it called? P-cell?
P-cell, and the idea is getting away from giant, very widespread out cell towers, so that when you're kind of in between, you're running at like a bar or no bars. And the idea is installing these fairly small boxes kind of all over the place, so that you constantly have really good signal. And then the individual boxes will be very powerful, just not as wide range, so you'll be able to get a lot faster speed while you're in range than they're all over the place. Which has its own complications, because now instead of having a tower that's kind of away from being in the middle of anything or on the top of things, like on the top of buildings or something like that, you now have to have these boxes freaking everywhere. So figuring out where they can put it and stuff like that could be an issue.
That is one of the biggest logistical challenges I see with something like this, because at least the thing about a cell tower is, yes, it's a process to get the permits and get it built and buy the land and whatever else you have to do, but it's one project. Whereas, I mean, if you've ever tried to do any kind of project management, even something as simple as planning a kid's birthday party, if all you had to do was invite like one kid, but like it's complicated and you have to like go to their parents' house and, prove that you're going to be feeding them, a vegan diet and they're going to have a nap at 3:30 and whatever else, you're doing one thing. Whereas if you have to invite 100 kids, even if it's as simple as emailing them all and then managing the email responses, it's still a ton of work. Yeah. So we have the results for our straw poll, by the way. There you go. 5% said yes.
So a lot more than the not necessarily hardcores on Time Warner's service. So I don't think our poll is accurate.
Yeah, I don't think so. I wasn't really expecting it to. I mean, there's a lot of uncertainties with the new technology. The idea is you could combine the signal from many P waves to get a full signal at all time. They cost less. They're smaller.
Of course they're going to cost less.
There will be an initial rollout in Q4 2014 in San Francisco. So I guess it just kind of remains to be seen.
It theoretically will use less power, although if you're running a phone that is natively LTE, you won't see any of the power savings. You need a native P-cell phone to see the power savings.
But LTE phones will work on P-cell networks, in theory.
Which is actually really cool. So you could take advantage of this now. The speed, though, not necessarily the...
And the coverage. I mean, especially coverage in places where they just can't justify a massive tower project.
Yeah.
Makes a ton of sense.
Yeah.
Actually, we have one more infrastructure improvement thing here. This is a collaboration between Brazil and the EU that is basically just a direct response to spying by the NSA on foreign dignitaries. And this is like spying on their allies. And one of the comments in the article, which I just found laughable, is that President Obama has since banned spying on the, spying on close allies. I'm just like, or you could, like, there are so many...
One, there's no way that's actually true. He's probably publicly banned it, and it's still totally happening. Two, I don't know. That's all I really have to say about that. One thing that I noticed with this article is, hasn't Brazil been flamed recently for spying on their residents anyways? So this is like, hooray.
We don't want other people spying on you.
Only we get to spy on you, citizens.
So it's a $185 million project. It's going to be a joint project between some various ISPs. And it's going to, basically, the only existing line right now. So it'll run from, hold on a second. I forget. Whoever wrote this down forgot to say where it actually runs from. There we go. Lisbon to Fortaleza. And the only existing line between Brazil and the EU is so slow that it's only used for voice communication. So, you know what? I mean, infrastructure upgrades in general, is never a bad thing. And it's really interesting to see how quickly the US is losing its very tight grip over its position as the hub of the entire internet.
Interesting. What is it? Ukraine that's dealing with Russia right now?
Mm-hmm.
Server hosting has been hopping out really quickly.
Right.
So like server hosting for different games and stuff has been hopping out. And you would expect, they might go to the States or somewhere like that. None. We've even seen some of them hop to Canada. Who hops their server hosting to Canada?
Yeah.
No one. Those people, apparently. Not to the States, though. Like, ugh.
I mean, it goes to show you, power corrupts, absolute power corrupts absolutely. I know it's been said over and over and over again, but that doesn't make it any less true. As soon as someone is in a position where they can control something, they'll abuse it. Every time.
Not necessarily every time.
At some point, someone will abuse it.
It's a high possibility, I'd say. I don't think everyone is inherently bad. Except for Linus.
I'm not inherently bad.
See, there you go. Now you're agreeing with me.
We agreed I was chaotic neutral. Or was I lawful neutral? I don't remember what...
you were chaotic neutral.
I was chaotic neutral.
Edsel thought you were lawful neutral.
Yeah, Edsel figured that I was... no, I think you said I was lawful evil. And then we agreed
I said lawful evil.
And then we agreed I was chaotic. But then I think Edsel figured I was lawful because I operate based on a set of rules, even if it's not necessarily everyone else's rules. I'm like that the kid in Family Guy. I don't play by anyone's rules except
your
my
whole,
own.
Your
Not
whole
even my
piracy
own.
stance is a little weird now.
My piracy stance is weird?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably weird. All right, so Tesla
I still think you're lawful evil.
was banned in New Jersey, not from selling cars, but from selling them directly to customers.
Which is how they sell cars.
Which is how they sell cars.
So they've been kind of banned from selling cars.
Now, you could take either stance on this. Okay, why don't you give the overview, and then I'm going to kind of jump in and make everyone mad.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm going to do that. Just.
I don't even have the topic up, but essentially... Oh, there it is. Essentially, cars can be sold by dealerships, so there has to be a middleman. You know how dealerships work. It's usually like the guy's name who opened the dealership, and then like Chrysler.
O'Shea Chevrolet.
Or
big thumbs up to
Chevrolet.
anyone who gets that reference. Go ahead.
or whatever else, right? Like that's often how car dealerships are done, or other ways or whatever. But there's always a car dealership. You don't usually mail order a car or order it online, but that's how Tesla does it. And they've banned that in New Jersey. You have to have a dealership, which isn't yours, as far as I know.
Yeah.
Like someone else has to open a dealership for your cars and then buy them from you, essentially. Yeah. So Texas and Arizona have the same law. However, New Jersey is been becoming a big hub for luxury cars, and Tesla is luxury cars. So Tesla wants to be there because they want to be able to sell their cars, which makes tons of sense. Tesla is claiming, I can talk, that it is an affront to the very concept of a free market, and I agree.
They also say it isn't just about cutting out the middleman, it also wants to give buyers an experience, to which I would say BS. It is about cutting out the middleman, whether, okay, well, if you agree with that, then we have nothing to argue about, because Tesla's concern here is strictly self-interest. It has nothing to do with a better experience for the customer necessarily.
I'm sure there's some of that, because if they can give a better experience and it's more premier and they can control the whole thing, they can charge more.
Well,
there's always profit behind the idea, but creating a better experience for your customer creates a premier shopping experience, which is literally some of the target audience that they're going for.
I mean, they have the option. Okay, I agree with Tesla that they shouldn't be banned, but I think a middle ground might have been that New Jersey could say, okay, well then you're going to have to open up negotiations with X number of dealerships per square, whatever mileage, to have the option to sell your cars, and you're going to have to offer them a reasonable margin structure and all that stuff. And if you can provide a better shopping experience your way, then customers will have a free market right to choose.
I still don't understand why they're banning that, though. That still doesn't make any sense. That's stupid.
Banning makes no sense.
Yeah, that's retarded.
But for them to protect an industry that is very, very important to the local economy, I understand, even if I don't necessarily agree with, I do understand it, and I understand.
But then he's totally right.
It's it's an affront to the concept of a free market. Totally agree.
Yeah.
The part that I was upset about was that Tesla was saying that it wasn't about cutting out the middleman, which it absolutely is.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all about cutting out the middleman. And
He says it isn't just about.
It's very carefully worded.
Yes, it is.
And yes, it is just about cutting out the middleman. I mean, look at okay, I'm gonna.
It's not just. It's just mostly.
I'll pull up Apple as an example here. Okay. Apple stores deliver a better experience than Best Buy. Have you ever shopped at an Apple store?
I haven't shopped there. I've been inside an Apple store, though.
Okay.
With someone who was shopping.
I've bought stuff there. I have gone through service there.
I've gone through their service because my girlfriend at the time had to repair her iPhone. Okay.
Outstanding experience. You feel like you're in this, zone where you're going to be helped. And it's very futuristic.
The one thing that I did really like is that we never got approached by someone in the way that you get approached going to Future Shop or for people not in Canada, Best Buy or something like that, because I didn't feel like I was being hounded. Yep. More than once I had someone come up and ask me how my day was. And I was like, that's an interesting intro. I've worked in retail before. No one has ever told me to start with that. So I talked to him for a little bit about random stuff. Then he's like, is there anything I can help you guys with? and he saw that she was holding her phone. He's like, "Is it broken?" And I was like, "Yeah, we're having problems with it." So he's like, "All right, I'll be back in a sec." Goes and grabs the tech and has the same intro,
They have a service-first approach.
which I thought was cool.
And so if Tesla,
Still hate their stuff, but...
with a service-first approach, can effectively outcompete car dealerships, then great.
But I don't think they should be forced to allow to sell their cars through other dealerships. That's against the free market thing. That is, when I said retarded, I was being very literal. That's very backwards.
Okay.
That is pulling back.
I didn't say that was the right solution, though. I said it would be a middle ground.
But it's a bad... That's a middle ground where there should not be a middle ground. There should only be the one side.
Sometimes the world is about baby steps. And
this is baby steps in the wrong direction.
No, okay, hold on. Okay, well... Okay, so right now, what exists is a law that you may not run your own dealership.
Yes. Okay, so you're saying, okay.
I'm saying it's a baby step.
I see.
Towards the right direction, and it's better than just saying, no!
Yeah. Yeah, because I'm applying my... When I was saying it's backwards, I was applying my logic to before this law existed. You're talking about what we have to do now that it's already here. So that makes more sense. Ugh. It's just like, why stop them?
Because it's an established part of the local economy, and you can talk about how that's part of the economy and what kinds of kickbacks exist where and whatever else is going on.
Oil.
But it's established, and it takes baby steps to change something. You're not going to be able to walk in and replace VHS with digital downloads overnight. It took us, 15 years? That's how long it takes sometimes.
But there wasn't laws in place stopping people from selling DVDs.
No, but there's all kinds of legislative issues associated with streaming videos online. And we're still working our way through that. We go through this every time there's a shift in technology that means that someone is not making the money that they're used to making and really like making. That's all.
But I also wonder if it's not even just the dealerships, though. Like, is this another step from Big Oil to try and stop electrical cars from being sold?
I don't know. I mean...
Everything in the States somehow comes back to Big Oil.
Ever since the NSA thing broke, I have not been able to just say, that's just a conspiracy theory anymore.
Yeah, I know. It's horrible. Everything sucks. Anyways, yeah.
On that note, Verizon wants to charge... Oh, no. This was a topic we talked about last week. You know what? We talked about it briefly.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't want to jump into that. Okay, let's talk good news. Haswell E and X99 look like the schedule has been stepped up. This was posted by Milner Fred, and the original article is from Kit Guru. And so we're looking at potentially a Q2 launch. What's up? Oh, yeah. A Q2 launch on the LGA 2011-3 socket. Like, really, Intel? Just call it, like, socket Blackbeard.
Isn't it?
Or like, I don't know, something cool. Yeah. So on a new socket from Intel, we're going to be looking at up to 20 megs of level 3 cache, quad-channel DDR4 memory, 40 integrated PCI Express 3.0 lanes, and then I believe the rumor on the street, although I haven't seen any kind of confirmation of this, is that the Extreme Edition will be an octo-core. Finally. So that's extremely exciting, and I am very, very happy about that.
Is it only the Extreme Edition and not the highest end K Edition?
No idea.
Okay.
Not sure. If they keep with what they've done for the last 2 gens, then it will be the Extreme Edition and the like $600 piece. But going back to when they first launched 6 cores with Gulftown and the 980X. So if we go to when they first launch a new number of cores, and when they first launched quad-core, quad-core was for an entire generation Extreme Edition only, and 6-core was for an entire generation Extreme Edition only.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
So maybe I will be waiting for the next version.
Yeah.
Because remember, I was like, I might... Okay, yeah, anyways.
So very flexible tuning and overclocking capabilities are what they're saying, but I think that basically just means they'll all be unlocked. I don't think that's going to mean anything in terms of actual overclocking ability compared to Haswell on LGA 1150. Although I'd love to be wrong.
Yeah, because it's not been fantastic for a little while now.
We're going to get 6 USB 3.0 ports. We're going to get 10 SATA 3 6 gigabit per second ports. No SATA Express, which is an interesting omission. I mean, I would love to see an Intel chipset.
Is there actually anywhere saying no?
No.
Okay.
So maybe I'm wrong. And maybe, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if we see SATA Express being implemented with third-party controllers and then utilizing those 40 PCIe 3.0 lanes.
Yeah.
But I don't see any guarantee that it's happening, and I would have liked to see a native solution because I think you and I are very much on the same page as this. Third-party chipsets are okay, but if I can use an Intel LAN controller, an Intel USB controller, they just
even just the drivers. I've been so big about drivers lately because I'm testing stuff all the time and swapping benches and doing all this kind of stuff. And like when I did that recent platform swap, and I was like, it was fantastic. It just worked. That's one of the nice things about having native stuff.
And other good news, Google slashed prices on Google Drive. So let's go ahead and head over there. So
I did a few comparisons, and some of these comparisons were in the news articles, but not all of them. My favorite one was actually a comparison that I didn't see anywhere else, which was comparing to the launch prices for Drive. So the launch prices for Drive were, wow, awesome. Yeah, there we go. 5 gigabytes for free, 25 gigabytes for $250. So I see people going for either the free version or the one step up mainly. So now it is 4 times the data for 50 cents less because it is $1.99 for 100 gigabytes.
And that's per month.
Per month, and it was $250 for, or $249, sorry, specifically for 25 gigs. So you're getting 4 times the data for 50 cents less. It's actually pretty solid for 2 years. Like you expect it to get better. You don't necessarily expect it to get cheaper, but you do expect there to be more, hopefully. Yeah. But they've done 4 times the amount in 2 years for less, which is kind of awesome.
And then $10 for 1 terabyte, and starting at $100 for 10 terabytes or more of Google Drive storage. I mean, the future is going to be fantastic, eh? If you could pay, you know, like let's say, okay, so let's say another 10 years down the road or another 5 years down the road or whatever. Let's say we get another 10x increase in the storage space or whatever, that, you know, it happens to be. If you have a Google Fiber account at that point, you will actually have a 100 megabyte per second connection to terabytes of storage. You will not need local storage anymore.
But personally, and I think a lot of other people still will.
And there are still a lot of arguments for personal cloud versus cloud storage.
And you know what? I see a lot of people going the route that we have, which is where you just have both.
Yep.
You have public cloud storage for stuff that isn't super important. And, well, it could still be important if it's on the cloud, but isn't super, like, personal.
Yep.
And then that you can access really easily. You want to be able to access it all the time, blah, 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 blah. And then very personal stuff you store on your own kind of cloud thingy with a NAS. There's free NAS. There's tons of other things out there. And especially with computers lasting for so long these days, if you upgrade your computer down the line, you can still use your old computer, install free NAS, and then have like a beast NAS for relatively nothing.
That's actually a really great way to set up a NAS. If you're not concerned with getting a really nice prepackaged software suite like Synology's DSM, and you're willing to do the work yourself, you can build a NAS on the cheap with like old parts on eBay or whatever and get just beastly performance, and you know, and it can have so much more functionality, like the ability to, I just found out that Emit has a web client.
Really?
Yeah, so you can stream video and music to yourself through Emit over the web.
It's not going to be as like
it's
clean
not great.
And it won't be as clean and shiny as a prepackaged solution like DSM or whatever, but you can do it for, it's called FreeNAS, so I guess you can figure it out. I don't know.
All right, so this is neither good nor bad. Google has removed underlined links from their search results. So if you here, I'm just gonna blow this up so you can see that the blue one is underlined, and then if you click the image, you can see what a new search looks like, where it is no longer underlined. I actually think it's more interesting than you do.
My favorite part was that was a legitimate yawn.
Okay. The original article's from The Verge, by the way, and you know what? I actually I like underlined links.
Me too, because it's very obviously a link.
But I have noticed over time
no one really does it anymore.
That no one really does it anymore.
So it doesn't matter.
And so much of the internet experience is clickable, and the web design has gotten so much better in terms of making things look clicky that I guess it's okay. But if they do away with blue for hyperlinks...
That's... Yeah. I don't see that coming anytime soon, though. Look at our Google Drive right now.
Yes.
The clickable links are blue. Every like clickable link everywhere is blue. I don't see the blue going away anytime soon. I wouldn't be too worried about that. All
right, so this article's on time.com. And Google will start encrypting your searches. Now, I'm gonna do the fairy tales and butterflies and sparkles version of this, and then I'll let you do the Kane version of this.
The gloom and doom.
All right, so the good news here is that this will make it more difficult for your data to be intercepted by third parties. And of course, the Edward Snowden leaks are a big part of why all this is happening right now, because Google doesn't want their customers' information being stolen. Another big, awesome, happy time thing about this is that it can potentially allow them to circumvent censorship and make the internet more free, because it will not allow ISPs or other intermediaries to not only steal the data, but even know what the heck it is. So a more encrypted internet is better, and they say the reason that they're doing this is to encourage other companies to take a more security-minded approach to what they're doing. Now let's get the sort of...
what they're doing part. They're saving their profit margins because they can do this to help protect against ISPs replacing ads and gathering data on their customers, which is...
Talk about what that is. What is ISPs replacing ads?
ISPs can detect ads. Adblock can detect ads. Ads are incredibly easy to detect, and an ISP could remove that ad and input their own. Therefore taking all of the profit for that and screwing with customers, essentially, and potentially making websites a lot worse. Like if an ISP is injecting ads, like we were talking about earlier, like the Pirate Bay does, no one's going to want to go to your website.
I don't think they would do that.
I don't think they would either, but it's...
But even if they were injecting ads that we're not approving, like LinusTechTips.com has ads, but we refuse to have things like those splash screen ads. We don't want any that have sound. Like, we have guidelines.
And we can blacklist ones that we don't like.
Whereas if our ISP or your ISP was just injecting crap, we can't control the web experience of our users, and that's not right.
And like, okay, what if you are a religious website? Yes. And you get ads for a religious dating site, which is not the religion that your website is. It's
right.
just awkward.
So if you had like a Christian site and they didn't, and it was like find Muslim singles or whatever, and none of these are necessarily bad things. It's just not a very good.
It's just like, why is that there? So yeah, and then collecting data on you, which is what they do, and then they sell that. So the ISP won't be able to do that, and then they have more market share in that area as well.
Mind you, if they're... So, okay, I guess that aligns with what they said about Google Fiber, where they don't want to be an ISP. They just want the ISPs to sit in the corner like little children and do what they're told and collect no data and just plug the thing into the thing and then transfer the thing to the thing. That's why Google has no interest in being an ISP, because there's absolutely no value in it whatsoever. And they are determined to take all of the value out of it.
Yep. So I hope that they have to become an ISP, because I'd rather have Google Fiber. Anyways, yeah, so there's that. Another thing is... Whoa, my thing just went totally away from that article.
Yes!
Oh, I don't remember where it went. But it's not 100% security either. I don't know where the article is, but I'm just going to wing this. It's not 100% security either, which is something fairly important. They've been talking about... they started doing this in China. I believe they moved their offices in China to Hong Kong in, I believe, 2010. That's actually what I was looking for in the doc. But I believe that's how it's done, from Beijing to Hong Kong, which is... Hong Kong is now a part of China again, but it's still semi-autonomous. So they dodged that, and they started encrypting searches in China already, but they're scared that people are going to think that's 100% security. Because it's not 100% security. It's...
Nothing is.
It helps you. It's not, if you start searching very incriminating things, whether or not that incriminating thing should be incriminating or not doesn't matter. If you start searching those incriminating things, people could still potentially find it. So don't just be like, yeah, Google searches are encrypted now, which they're not yet, probably where you are. But once that happens, don't just think you're behind the iron wall, because you're not necessarily.
Which actually leads into our first sponsor integration pretty handily, because if you're looking for something that okay, encryption is not the answer by itself, and a VPN is not the answer by itself, but these are both steps that you can take to deliver a more secure online experience for yourself. So Hotspot Shield, thanks to them for sponsoring the show today, and our message from them is that it's all about access. So what a VPN does, Hotspot Shield included, and we recommend their Elite service because even though it's paid for, it has a lot less of the obnoxious stuff that you'll find with their free version, as well as any other ad-supported VPN. From what we've seen, I've actually seen a lot of threads on the forum about this. What's the best free VPN? And the answer is kind of like, there isn't really one.
They all kind
so
of suck.
Hotspot Shield is very reasonable, especially if you use our 20% off code, offer code Linus right there. You basically set it up, and what it does, and I've actually had quite a few people ask me about this, so I'm going to go ahead and explain it. So I've had people say, will a VPN make my internet slower? And the answer is yes, because that's inherently how it works. It takes, okay, so let's say this is me, and this is a website I'm trying to visit. The way that you would normally connect to it is directly. So they would have your IP, they would have any information that you send or receive directly. The way a VPN works is it goes ahead and takes your information and sends it somewhere else entirely, like to Luke's hair, and then sends it to the site, and then, I'm sorry, I just poked you in the eye, and then back to you. So there is going to be a delay in terms of latency. I wouldn't expect to be able to game smoothly on a VPN, and there's going to be a change in your speed, and in fact, running speed tests might just deliver the weirdest results ever, like just be fundamentally broken, but what it does is it's redirecting the traffic so all the traffic looks like it's coming from that other place. This has the benefit of, so let's go ahead, of allowing you to pretend you're from somewhere you're not, and to somewhat, although nothing is bulletproof, again, be from somewhere that you're not. So you can get access to UK sites or US sites, even if you're located in Portugal or whatever else. So it's a great way to, if you are determined enough to get access to content legitimately, at least circumvent the blocks that are in place so that you can pay for the content, like for example US Netflix, even if you're not in the US, and give the content creators something even if you are, according to the terms of service, not really allowed to do it. So one more time, guys, that's bit.ly/hsshare for 20% off Elite prices. Use offer code Linus, and I've actually got a link to give you guys, so here, go ahead. I'm going to post this in the Twitch chat. This is something I always forget to do. There we go. Boom! That didn't work at all. Am I not allowed to post links in my own Twitch chat?
There you are.
All right, so let's move into our second sponsor. Huge thanks to Squarespace.com. I believe today is the last day of their hunt for new software engineers and all that. So be a part of it.squarespace.com if you want to go check that out. Squarespace.com is the super easy way to build a beautiful website for yourself. And I always use my own site as an example, but I really do think it's a great example. So we're going to go ahead and screen share with me. LinusMediaGroup.com. We have tried flooding it during the stream. It is super easy to set up. It works with touch. It works on a phone. It works on a tablet. It works on whatever you want. And it is very, very inexpensive. Squarespace takes care of the software, so the cloud-based management software that you use to build your own website, and they take care of the hosting for you. And if you go ahead and activate your account for an entire year, whether it's a blog or a photography portfolio or a store, they have a fully functioning e-commerce module now. For an entire year, they will actually throw in your domain hosting for you for the first year for nothing. So you can save 10%, and the free trial lasts for 2 weeks. We've actually done stuff in the past where we've had people submit their own Squarespace trial sites, and we've given away accounts for it before. So guys, let me know in Twitter, actually, if you'd like for us to do that again, and I'll reach out to Squarespace and I'll ask them. If you've been thinking about starting your own website, it is a great way to differentiate. I know Unbox Therapy uses Squarespace for his site now. His old one was kind of bad, and our old one on WordPress was kind of terrible too. And this one we created. Did we spend more than 2 days on this? Total man hours?
I think so. But I think it was rebranding.
Right.
Not like
art assets, not building the site.
Yeah, and it was like ideas and we don't necessarily like how that looks. Let's go a different direction with it.
Yeah.
Like stuff that wasn't complications. It was more furthering of the website.
Well, what happened was when you create your account, you select a template based on the kind of site you want to create. And I just picked a random one because I wasn't sure. And what I didn't realize is you can't go back and just change it, because the way the templates work is they're very tightly integrated. That's how they get it to work well on the desktop, well on a phone, on a tablet, or whatever else. So I think we were trying to use the wrong template, and then we had to undo it and then start over. And if we hadn't wasted time because I just was like, click, 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 then it probably would have been fine.
It's just like you did with our original forum software.
I love you, man.
That sucked. Anyways, continuing time. Smart cover?
Yeah, I don't really care about that. We'll talk about that when they actually send us a phone and a smart cover. All right. Oh, something that doesn't suck. Razer Blade 14. New edition. Wow. This is the notebook that I want. Like,
are they sending you one?
I don't know yet. For Blade 14 original, I think I was like number 4 on the list. So.
And then despite the call out and everything.
Yeah,
might not be number 4.
You know what? I mean, this is something I hope that viewers understand. Is my relationship with Razer is not always peachy keen. They sponsored the WAN show for like months. So yeah, we've taken money from them. But if you look at my Razer Blade 14 video, I call them out pretty hardcore on that screen.
And we don't have them as sponsors on the WAN show anymore.
And yeah, but that's not why. That just ran out. They're still willing to sponsor it. It's just that their internal targets for how many new comms users per dollar doesn't align with how much a WAN show sponsorship costs. So that's the only reason we're asking for too much money, and so they're just like, well, whatever. Then we just won't advertise with you. And that's fine. So I called them out on that. I called them out on they weren't even talking about who was manufacturing their switches. In my video, I'm like, yeah, they're Kale switches. What was the other one that I was pretty brutal on? The Kraken Forged headphones. In my video, I'm just like, I don't like it, but you might if you like this thing that I don't personally like. So it's not always 100% peachy keen. And then I had a meeting with them that was about an hour long at CES, where their award-winning, what's it called, the Naboo, their smart wrist thing.
Oh yeah.
I was just like, I don't think it makes a ton of sense. And they're just like, well, we think it's great. I'm like, okay, well, when I see the final one and you guys send one, then I'll make up my mind at that point in time. But we had a pretty strong disagreement about that too. So this one, though, if this arrives and it's what I'm expecting it to be, then I personally told Min Liang Tan, their CEO, when I did my original review, he made me promise. He's like, look, if we fix the things you complained about, will you say that the Blade 14 is your ideal, perfect notebook? And I said, yeah, because I couldn't think of anything else that was wrong with it. So the new one is the world's thinnest gaming laptop, now with a, 2800 by 1800 display. Holy crap. And 3200 by 1800 display. And the amazing thing about this is that while they did upgrade the graphics card, oh yeah, not TN anymore, IGZO, so that's a sharp IPS panel. So they've put an IGZO, and it's a touchscreen, which was that was my off-the-record complaint about the Blade 14, because I felt like most gamers wouldn't really care about touchscreen as a feature, but when I talked to them, I said I personally like the touchscreen and I'd love to see it implemented. It's got new NVIDIA graphics, so it's got an 870M in there.
Solid.
Which is solid.
That was like the only thing I cared about.
And I don't know if you know this, but some 870Ms are going to be Kepler based and some are going to be Maxwell based. Yeah. So I'm hoping that it's a Maxwell one, and if it's a Maxwell, this is going to be one power efficient, and they're both about the same speed. But it depends how many functional cores they have versus what clock speed they're running at. But anyway, so if this one has the Maxwell version in it, this thing is going to blow your mind. Now, I've had people say that even though they amped up the graphics card in it, they amped up the resolution to the point where it's just stupid and nothing can drive it anyway. And you'd be right. This is pretty much a 3K resolution. But this is something to remember. The reason that I ponied up like $750 when I was a student, which was a lot of money for me, I bet the rent, or like spent the rent on a Dell 2405 FPW was because even though LCDs have a native resolution, you can work around it if you can get, if your resolution is an even multiple of the resolution you're trying to run. So what's cool about 3200 by 1800 is that it divides evenly into 1600 by 900, which on a 14-inch display, higher than 720p, is going to look really good. And you're not going to get any BS interpolation because it will be a 1:4 pixel mapping ratio, so everything's going to look crisp. So you can have beautiful, super crisp text, and you can have your gaming look fine and not be too demanding to run.
I have to throw a joke in here.
All right.
Before you keep going.
I just want this notebook.
So it's Intel chipset HM87. And when I read that, I actually read it wrong. I read it as TM87 because I've been playing too much Pokemon lately. So for Pokemon fans and anyone who wants to see a joke, Google TM87 and look at the first link, and it plays into how excited he is about this, and then just keep going. I'm not even going to explain.
Okay. It's got a quad-core processor, Haswell, etc., etc., etc. Anyway, I'm really excited about this notebook, and I'm trying to convince Razer that they should send one without, like, a proper loaner agreement. Because like a lot of the time I have to sign a contract that says that they'll just bill my credit card if I don't return it. So I'm going to be like, yeah, you know what, guys, we go way back. Just send it. Don't worry about it. Because I would trade in my XPS 12 like that. Even though it's a convertible, and I actually do use tablet mode once in a while. Oh. I am...
Everyone in the Twitch chat figured it out.
I am stoked. Oh my goodness.
TM87 is swagger.
Okay. I'm not even going to look at it.
It's swagger. It's TM87 is swagger. There's actually a song about TM87. And it's actually pretty good.
I haven't played Pokemon since like Pokemon Blue.
On Game Boy Color. Played Pokemon Blue and then
on Game Boy Color.
Yeah. I played Pokemon Blue on Game Boy Color and then I skipped everything.
What's
and
swagger?
Then well, TM87 wasn't in Pokemon Blue.
Yeah.
So that's why you don't know it. Yeah,
and I never watched the show. So I got nothing.
Yeah. Well, I watched the first season, and then I started playing X and Y because I'd played like 10 or 20 minutes of all the Pokemons between here and then where we are now with X and Y and Blue and Red, and I actually see X and Y as a really good improvement.
Okay.
I didn't see the other ones as like major improvements and changes, but I like the new one.
Are you still using your DS all the time? I really want to play Bravely Default.
I'm at the Elite Four.
Okay.
Of X and Y. So when I'm done, you can play.
Maybe we can work out a deal where I borrow your DS for like a month, and then you own the Bravely Default cartridge or something.
I was going to see if I could make that deal because I looked it up after you told me about it, and I was like, "Wow, I want to play it."
I want to play it.
Yeah.
When people suggested it to me, I was like, "Oh, cool."
I've seen ads for it.
And I went on Steam because I had no idea what it was.
You went on Steam.
So I was like, "Oh, cool! I have a game." Oh, it's on the DS. My DS Lite is broken. Oh, it's not available for DS Lite anyway. And I really don't want to buy one because I'm not going to play any games on it other than I want to play that. It's like I could play that and like remakes of like older Final Fantasy games, and that's the only thing I could possibly care about that came out of Square Enix in the last like 5 years.
I've been having a great time with Pokemon X. That's the one I have. But
I'm so stoked on Bravely Default. Like,
Yeah.
it's a JRPG that has, like, I think it's like an 85% plus rating on Metacritic, which is, like, that's a pretty strong
hard
indicator
to
that
do.
it probably basically kicks ass.
Yeah, yeah.
So, okay, things that don't kick ass.
No.
Expect not to talk for 5 minutes because
Yep.
I am so mad about this. So Microsoft and Google, like, okay, this was one of the cool. You know what? Some of the stuff that won awards at CES, like, honestly, like, I'm like shaking with rage right now.
I'm gonna jut in before you keep going while you search for that. This brings up the trade agreement thing that we debated about with Tesla. Anyways, keep going.
Okay, you know what? I'm gonna make you guys sit through this. I'm gonna make you watch my video from CES. Let me just see if I don't know.
Make
if
sure
you
your
got
levels
audio.
aren't broken.
You guys will have to let me know if you have audio here. I'm sorry. Okay, you know what? Maybe I'll just like go along. There, this. So this is the Transformer book Duet. I'm going to go ahead and maximize. It didn't even get that many views. It didn't get that much attention at CES. It didn't win any amazing CES Innovation Awards, but this was one of the coolest products at the show because what it is it's a Transformer, so you can actually pop the top off here and turn it into a tablet, or it's a notebook.
No audio.
That's fine. It runs, yeah, that's fine. Guys, I'll walk you through it. So it runs an Intel processor, which means that the Windows experience is your normal full Windows experience, not some ARM Windows RT BS.
Yeah.
Full Windows experience. It runs that same Intel processor on Android. They had games running like butter smooth. Man, it was amazing. Outstanding Android experience. And what was cool about it is you could actually switch. So all the hardware was actually in the top half, and the bottom half was just I/O and keyboard and maybe an extended battery. I can't remember. But what was cool about it was, check this out. You just hit the button and it takes literally this long. We didn't speed up the footage. We didn't play around with it. You can see me. I'm just sitting there. Boom. Windows, Android. And what's cool about that is not necessarily that I think everyone, needs to have an Android tablet in the same way that I don't think everyone needs to have a notebook. But if you were to offer me a device that is a hybrid between the two, so that I can enjoy, maybe I actually really like Hangouts on Android, and I just want to sit with my tablet on the couch and, video chat with someone, that's fantastic. And I'm having like that Google native experience, but maybe I want to get some real work done, which you cannot do on Android. I'm sorry, but Android tablets are not up to the same level as what you can achieve with a Windows notebook that is properly integrated, and this one was really well built. So what if I want to have that experience and the other one, and I'm willing to pay a premium for it? That's where a product like this made a ton of sense. Switching back to Windows took like 5 seconds as well, so I could have my cake and I could eat it too, and it was amazing. And Microsoft and Google have collectively screwed us by saying, no, we don't want hybrids between Android and Windows. Now, ASUS has been doing this for a while, and they have, I guarantee you, put a ton of work into this. It started at CES 2013 when they first showed off the Transformer AIO, and that was an all-in-one PC that docked to a Windows machine, and then you pulled it away, and all the Android hardware, I think it was a Tegra 3 processor, was actually inside the tablet itself. They have refined that technology over the course of a year to have it all running on the same hardware, seamlessly, letting you switch between it, and Microsoft and Google have basically spat all over that innovation and that R&D work and taken an extremely important product away from customers. We should have the right to choose between the platforms that are available on the hardware that we can get, and even if we can't necessarily install it and dual boot it ourselves, someone like ASUS or MSI or Gigabyte or I don't care who should have the right to deliver that to us if they're the ones who did the work in the first place to allow us to have it. So that's all I have to say about that.
I don't know where my notes on this went.
And I don't always defend ASUS because they're not always right. But in this case, they got screwed.
I don't know where my notes on this went. They seemingly have been deleted, which is weird. But one thing that I find interesting is that they didn't care. I know it's a different platform entirely, but Android did not care about the Ubuntu Android mixture. which is interesting because it's an OS. You could plug it into a hub of sorts and then have a desktop experience and all that kind of stuff. It's a completely different platform, which is a problem for the comparison. But still, they didn't really care. But now that it's Windows, and now that it makes more sense,
and Microsoft has never cared about dual booting Linux.
And Microsoft has never cared about that.
And this was so much more elegant. You didn't even have to dual boot. You just switched.
And like I actually really wanted this because there's a lot of really interesting Android games coming out where you play it and you go, wow, this is a really good game. It would be a lot better if I had a different interface.
And with Intel's improved onboard graphics, we were going to be able to get a decent notebook-grade gaming experience. And with, I mean, now I'm even more mad.
Yeah.
Steam in-home streaming would have run perfectly on this notebook. You could play every Android game and every Windows game under the sun with one device in your home, and they just took it away from us.
It was a fantastic laptop. Absolutely fantastic laptop. Had actually already talked to people about recommending it. I know it wasn't a huge video, but I liked it. I didn't even get to go see it, but I liked it a lot. And I've talked to multiple people about it. I have people that like developing things for different platforms. One thing that's really frustrating for those type of people is having to have some type of platform with iOS on it, which is frustrating when you don't want to buy an iOS platform designed device.
Yeah, I had to buy an iPad mini because we couldn't test something that was only available with that, and we got a sample of it and committed to do a review. Yeah. It's like crappy.
So that's frustrating and annoying, but Android is usually easier to get, but if you... This made it so elegant, it was ridiculous.
I would have bought one of these. And I mean, to be clear about that, like, I don't buy a ton of hardware because we get a lot of samples, and there's, you know, if I really need something... We don't get a lot of
laptop samples.
We don't get a lot of laptop samples. This one was a sample, though.
This one wasn't.
That's your old one.
This is my old one.
But I mean, if I really, really need something, there's usually some way that I can figure out, you know, like, hey, we'll run an ad for you there, or like, hey, we really need some RAM for our test bench. So when we do testing, we'll like make sure we say that it's your RAM in the test bench. Like simple stuff, like nothing that compromises integrity. But I mean, it's not hard for us to get hardware if we really need it. But this was the kind of thing where ASUS doesn't sample notebooks, but I would have just bought it because it's an amazing product and it's a great user experience. And I don't want to talk about this anymore. Why don't you do builds of the week? Here, okay. I'm going to leave this with you because we have something interesting coming up. I've been trying to figure out for quite some time how we can get rid of some of the like buildup of tech stuff that we have lying around here. And the Linus Tech Tips store, which you have to log in on linustechtips.com. Don't worry, it's easy to log in on linustechtips.com. You can use Facebook, Steam, or Twitter. But if you go to the store, which is right here, you can actually see that there's a bunch of stuff in there. But it's hard for me to really publicize it because, you know, I don't want to turn it into like a mad rush of people heading over there. Because a lot of this stuff won't have any warranty because it's a sample or whatever else. And honestly, coordinating this many giveaways, you guys have no idea how much work giveaways are. This stuff can help contribute to our daily operating costs. So we'd love to get some kind of monetary compensation for it so that we can reinvest that money into new equipment. And of course, something that we've started doing more lately, reinvested into buying samples of stuff that we otherwise wouldn't have access to.
Which could lead us into the topic about the things that are going to be released this week.
Really?
The video that is going to be released this weekend.
So there's lots of new stuff that we want to reinvest in, and this will actually help us. So I am going to go, and I'm going to just go get some stuff that I'm just going to add to the store, and we're going to do like live like garage sale after the WAN show today. So once we end the show, stick around for like a couple minutes if you guys are interested in the garage sale.
Yeah, so we're still doing the show. You're not going right now, right?
Nope.
Yeah, okay. I thought you were going right now.
Oh, I was going to.
Yeah, no.
Oh, you need me here?
Well, there's the leak thing about the video that's coming this weekend.
Oh, yeah. So we are going to be doing a couple pilots for you guys. Luke's wanted to do a gaming-centric show forever, basically since he started. Yeah. And then I have wanted to do a toy-centric channel ever since I never grew up and like toys. So we have each produced a pilot episode, and we're going to create a thread on the Linus Tech Tips forum, so stay tuned for this. I think the video is going to launch Saturday or Sunday? Saturday or Sunday night, our time. And we'd love for you guys to vote and let us know what you think of the concepts, which ones you think we should pursue, what you guys would like to see changed, because it is a ton of work to build up a new channel. Tech Quickie is one that I was really certain about. Like, I knew that we needed that format that was really concise and well edited, but this is going to be completely new territory for us. Gaming or toys, they're both geeky, just like the tech that we already do, but they're different.
The voting options, there will be 4 of them. There's games only, toys only, mixture, or none. Personally, I think we should go with mixture because I actually want to see...
You're coloring the results when you tell them what we think.
But that's the one I hope everyone votes for.
So if you're a Slick fanboy, then I guess you could vote for his option. But
well, what's yours?
Probably a mixture of the two. But I want to know what they think.
I do too.
Okay.
But I'm just saying what one we can vote. It's a public poll. I'm voting for mixture. It's only one vote. It's not really going to screw things very much. I'm mainly going to be announcing the new system, but I'll also brush over those.
I'm going to go find some stuff.
Okay.
To the garage sale after the show.
So, build logs of the week have been a thing that haven't existed for a long time. Luckily, that unplugged your headphones and not this cable because it's screwed in. Good job. Okay. Build logs of the week are something that existed for a long time and then kind of disappeared. I've had a lot of people ask me about that. The reason why was when the forum first started, there honestly wasn't a ton of people around. There was a lot of people, but not nearly the amount of numbers that there is now. And it was fairly easy for me to manage going through every single build log posted in a week and literally rank them internally in an Excel sheet, giving them like letter grades, and then going through the ones that got A's at the end, and then shuffling down to 2 and doing all of that footwork that was possible at the beginning. It's not really possible now. I don't have the time to do it. It's way too difficult. And near the end there, when we were still doing build logs of the week, every single week I got tons of messages saying, how did this one not make it? It's so much better, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, okay, well, it maybe should have made it in as a 3rd one. I've done 3 because there's too many that were awesome before or something like that. And it's just like, I didn't see it. It came up on Friday, or it was on the 2nd page when I was looking and I didn't make it there, or it bounced around while I was looking and I missed it or something, and that was happening way too much and it just became way too ridiculous. So I dropped support for it because it was not able to do it anymore and left it pending on the we need a better option for this stance. Now we do have a better option for it, but it's going to take a lot of editing to the website, and we're actually waiting for the next version of Envision Power Services software suite, which is what we're using, to come out of beta and then maybe get an update or 2 before we adopt it, because we're done with forum software betas. Oh my god, we're done with forum software betas. So we're waiting for that to happen because tons of things are going to change then, and then once that happens, we're going to release the new system, which will be very nice and elegant and all that kind of stuff. But as a stand-in for now, what we're going to do is we're going to have it set up so that your submission, so your completed build log, not your build log in progress, your completed build log has to be completed and submitted in the week before voting, not the week during voting. And your submission has to be up to a maximum of 200 words, so you can have a little description right up, 1 picture, and a link to your thread. After submitting all of these things, that will be in one pinned thread. There will be another pinned thread of voting. So after submitting all these things, I'll gather up everyone's submissions and put them in a voting thread. So everyone will get their little blurb, which will be their 1 picture, their 200-word maximum description, and a link to their thread. So you can kind of see a picture of the idea of it, go to their thread to see more information, to see the description of their computer, which is very likely just going to be components, but we'll see what people do with that. And then there will be a poll, and you can vote, and the top 2 voted systems, unless it's like a off by 1 situation where I might include 3 or something like that, we'll get through, and then we'll talk about those on the WAN show. So that's how that's actually going to work. If I go through here. But that being said...
You know how many people used to complain when I would stall for time in the middle of an unboxing by saying do and say it was unprofessional?
Really?
Yeah, I never cared. I noticed you doing it. I'm just wondering if it's something you've always done or if it's something you picked up.
I don't know. I think I've always done that.
I'm sorry, I interrupted. Go ahead.
No, it's fine. I think I've always done that. I'm not really sure, though. You're logged in as Linus Tech.
Oh.
Yay, it's not showing.
That's weird.
Can you log in as the other person?
Yeah, sure. Linus WAN.
Ooh, is there anything? The talk?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna ditch the talk. It just didn't impress me.
That's not gonna help you sell it.
That's fine. I don't want people like paying an unfair amount for anything.
That's true. Well, yeah, it's all gonna be super underpriced.
Yeah.
The Sentinel.
The idea here is that I want people to be getting a deal, and I want us to have a slush fund so that we can buy stuff that we otherwise couldn't review.
Like stuff for the Toys channel.
Because we've done some of that already, and the Toys channel is going to have no funding whatsoever out of the gate, so that'll help a lot for that.
Yeah.
But like I had to buy the Pebble Steel that I have coming. I wasn't seated a review unit.
Yep.
I have a couple Kickstarter things that are still coming that I had to buy. I had to buy that one toy thing.
Kickstarter things that are still coming. It's so my dad will call me every once in a while and just be like, "There's a package here for you." I'm just like, "What? What is it? I haven't ordered anything." And he's like, "It says whatever the heck on it," and I'm just like, I have no idea what that is because it's usually from like some random fulfillment center.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I'll be over in a little bit. Go over and pick it up. I'm like, oh, I bought this on Kickstarter like over a year ago.
There you go.
Okay then. Oh man, it's kind of fun receiving like random presents that I've forgotten about though.
Oh, Kickstarter.
Or there's the guy that made the.
No, that's me again. Okay, I don't know what we can do about that.
Okay, either way, everyone knows the new process that's going to come out.
Okay.
I guess I'll actually go over these in the after party next time. This time, I guess. Because last week I was like, oh, they should be in the actual show, but if we can't do it for whatever reason, then oh well.
Okay.
But yeah, everyone knows the new system that's coming, so I will be putting up that thread for people to put their submissions in. I want the person that actually made the build to actually submit their own thing. If you're submitting for someone else,
please don't.
No, I'm just gonna not take it. So yeah, I'll put that thread up later tonight, and then we can start voting for next week.
So this is disappointing because it looks like I forgot to bring my charger today, and it looks like I've only got 11 minutes left on my notebook. But I think that's pretty much it for the official show. So guys, I'll be back with a QVC stuff. I've decided that I'm just going to like lower prices until someone buys it, because I have to get rid of this stuff. We have no space. We're out of room.
Okay, I'm not leaving then.
Oh, all right. Okay, guys, so stay tuned. We'll be right back.
I'll try and find it. Don't do that one first.
They can hear you.
I know.